Hello everyone, welcome back. So today in this video I am going to tell about defect or bug life cycle in software testing, and it's a very important questions for interview, and as a tester we should know that how the defect life cycle works or how the bug life cycle works. Okay, so first we have to know that what is defect. So when we are developing any software, then there should be some requirement, right? And we have to follow that requirement for making that software. So that is the main funda. There is some requirement, and when we are developing that software, or when our developer is developing that software, so we have to follow that requirement and we have to make that software, right? So now what is defect? When any features or functionality is not working as per customer requirement, then we can call it as a bug or defect. Okay, so in my one of my video that where I have already discussed about what is defect, what is bug, then what is issue, what is error, what is mistake. So I have discussed all of these things in one video. So if you guys till now don't see that video, so my request is that please see that video, so you will get a overall knowledge that what is defect, what is error, what is failure, what is mistake. Okay, now so coming to this lessons. So now what is defect? When any features or functionality is not working as per customer requirement, then we can call it as a defect. So see, so when our developer or when any developer is developing a software, how can he develop that? There should be some customer requirement. So as per that customer requirement, that developer will develop the software. Same for testing process also. When we are testing that applications, we have to follow that requirement. We have to follow that customer requirement. Now, when we are testing that applications, if the customer requirement is not working, I mean, if our functionality or whatever features our developer has developed, that is not working according to the customer requirement, then we can call it as a defect. Okay, now you guys are clear that what is defect. Now next question, that so we are clear that what is defect, right? What is defect, we are clear. Now next question is that how the test engineer will get the defect. How the test engineer or tester will get the defect, will get the defect, right? How? Now there is some reason behind that. What is that? What is the reason? There should some reason. There should some reason. Now what is that reason? Now let's say there is some reason. One is that three reasons are there. One is that wrong implementation. Wrong implementation. Okay. Wrong implementation. That is the number one. And the number two is that, what is that? Missing implementation. Missing implementation. Missing implementation. Okay. And the number three is that extra implementation. Extra implementation. So there is some reason behind that. How the test engineer will get the defect. Three reasons are there. One is wrong implementation, second one is that missing implementation, and third one is that extra implementation. Now what do you mean by wrong implementation? Let's say, suppose I'm giving one example. Suppose, let's say this is one page or this is one button, okay, and let's say this button name is let's say this button name is login. Okay, so this button name is login button, and whenever we are clicking on that button, so my requirement is that whenever we are clicking on the button, let's say one home page will be displayed. So home page will be displayed. So that is my client requirement. That is my customer requirement. Now, what do you mean by wrong implementation? So whenever our developer is developing that application, by mistake, what they did, whenever we are clicking on the login button, so apart from going to the home page, the page is going to, let's say, the page is going to some another page that is called, let's say, some forget password page. Okay, so that is forget password page. Forget password page. That means the requirement is that after clicking on the login button, page will redirect to the home page. But whenever we are testing, we are seeing that whenever we are clicking on the login button, page will redirecting to the forget password page. That means something is behaving wrong. That means our customer requirements is not matching with our application. So that is the wrong implementation. Now, what is the second point? The second point is that missing implementation. What do you mean by missing implementation? Let's say this is my one, let's say this is one my applications. Okay, so in this application, suppose there are, let's say, three pages are there. So let three functionalities there, let's say, or four functionalities. So that is the username, let's say this is the username, and this is the password, and this is the login button. Okay, so this is the login button, and the customer says that one page should be one another link is there, that is the forget password. So suppose I am writing all these things. Suppose this is the username field, this is the username field, and this is the password field, and this is the, suppose this is the login button, and suppose this is the forget password. So this is the client requirement. Okay, now whenever our developer is developing, so what is my point? Missing implementation. When my developer is working, so by mistake they miss that forget password functionality. They miss that functionality, and they only worked on these three module or three unit, and they have deployed that thing. That means the client requirement says that forget password link should be there on the login page, but our developer has missed something, or they have missing some functionality. So that is called missing implementation. Okay, now what is the third thing? The third thing is that extra implementation. Now what do you mean by extra implementation? Let's say I'm giving one example. Suppose this is one application that customer, as per the customer. Okay, so in that application, let's say one username field is there, one password field is there, let's say, and one login button field is there. Okay, so this is the username, so this is the username, and this is the password, and let's say this is the login button. Okay, but so this is the client requirement. Okay, but our developer mistakenly add one another feature. Let's say this feature name is, suppose the feature name is, let's say, sign up button. Okay, so by mistake our developer has developed that sign up feature here. That means the client requirement was that only username, password or login field should be there in the application, but the developer has mistakenly did this sign up button. That means they have added some extra implementation in that page or in that application. That is called extra implementation. Okay, so now we are very much clear about that what is defect and how the test engineer or tester will get the defect. So if these reasons are happen, okay, so then the test engineer will get the defect. Okay, now coming to that next part, that what is defect and bug life cycle. Why I am telling all of this before going to that defect or bug life cycle, because we have to know that how, what is the defect and how we get the defect. Okay, now I am coming to the next point, that is defect or bug life cycle. So what is that defect or bug life cycle? So I am giving you details. I am giving you very in-depth idea. Let's say, suppose, I mean, I'm opening one. Okay, now, so in the defect life cycle, there is some standard. Like, what is the first? The first one is that the first one is that the first stage is that new. Okay, the first stage, that new. First I'm writing all the step, then I will discuss one by one. Okay, new. Now after that, after new, the second one is that assigned. Okay, the second one is that assigned. Now after assigned, it will one that next one is that open. Okay, it is that open. Now after open, the next one is that, what is that, fixed. Okay, it is fixed. Now after fixed, the next step is that pending retest. Now what is the next step? The next step is that only retest. Okay, the next step is that retest. Now next one is that verified. Next one is that verified. And the next one is that closed. Okay, the next one is that closed. Now, so first step is that, what is the first step? First step is that new. Okay, so this is the new. Okay, now first step is the new. Now after new, second step is the assigned. Now after assigned, the third step is that open. Now what is the fourth step? Fourth step is that fixed. Now after fixed, it will go to the pending retest. Now after pending retest, next step is that retest. Now after retest, it will go to the verified, and after verified, it will go to the closed state. Now whenever, now I am telling you all the things one by one. So what is new? Now new. So new is the first state of a defect in the defect life cycle. New is the first state of a defect in the defect life cycle. So when any new is found, it fails in a new state, and validations and testings are performed on this defect in the latest stage of the defect life cycle. So suppose whenever we are testing one application, let's say this is one application. So this is one application, and this application contains, suppose this is one module, and module 2, module 3, let's say some modules are there. So what is the next, what is the new state? So new is the first state of defect life cycle. So in that new state, when any test engineer or when any tester is testing the applications, if that tester is found any defect, then that defect will go to the new state. That means it is the new defect, right? So then it is a new defect. So the first step is the new. Now second, after new, it will go to the assigned state. So in this stage, a newly created defect is assigned to the development team to work on the defect. Okay, so this is assigned by the maybe project lead or maybe team lead or maybe the project manager. Okay, uh, project manager to the developer. That means whenever a new bug is created, now after creating the new bug, that bug will assign to the developer. Okay, so who will assign that? Maybe the team lead or maybe the project manager can assign that to the developer. Or sometimes if you knows that particular developer name, then as a tester you can also assign that directly to the developer. Okay, so that is the assign step. Now third stage is that open. What is open? So in that open stage, the developer start the process of analyzing the defect and works on fixing the defect if required. Okay, so now this is the open step. Now the next point. So whenever it is in open state, so there is some variables are there. Like suppose maybe if a developer feels that the defect is not appropriate, then it may get transferred to any of the I'm giving some name. So any of the name, like 1 second. So like let's say the first name maybe that, yeah, maybe we can tell that it's a duplicate. Okay, so developer can say that it's a duplicate. Okay, or it may be developer can say that it may be deferred. Okay, it may be deferred. Now what is that? I will tell you everything one by one. Deferred. Okay, now there is one state we can say that it may be some rejected, right? So rejected. So this is the one step they can developer can ask that it's a rejected bug. And the next one is that we can say, so we can tell that the next one is that not a bug. Okay, so we can tell that it's a not a bug. Developer can say not a bug. Not a bug. Okay, for all the open state, the one from here and this from here also. Now, so why this is coming? So what will be done in that open state? So in that open state, developer will start the process of analyzing the defect and he will working that defect if required. Why I am telling that if required? So maybe sometime if developer feels that the defect is not appropriate, then we can say that we can, as per the developer, they can make it something like maybe duplicate, maybe deferred, maybe rejected, and maybe not a bug. So now what is rejected, or what do you mean by duplicate? Duplicate means if the developer finds the defect as same as any other defect, or if the concept of the defect matches any other defect, then the status of the defects is duplicate. Now what do you mean by that? Suppose you and another one tester is working on a project, okay, or working on any application. You both two are working or testing the same application. So one tester is already assigned one bug, or already created one bug, and again if you are creating the same bug and you have also created the same bug, let's say, that means tester one is already created the bug and the same bug you have created. That means same bug you both two guys are created. That means that bugs will be the duplicate bug. Okay, so developer, if that types of in that time developer can say that when it is open state, developer can say that it's a duplicate bug. Okay, now what do you mean by deferred? So if the developer feels that the defect is not very much important, so that defect is not very much important and we can fix it in our later release, in our later release. So in this release, this is not impacting our impacting our business scenario or impacting our main functionality. So it's a low priority issue, so we can fix that in our later release. But developer is not saying that we are not fixing. They will fix, but the later release they can fix. But in that release, it is not important. So that time they will mark this bug as a deferred. Now, what do you mean by rejected? So if the defect is not considered as a genuine defect, okay. Suppose the client requirement is that if we click on the login button, page will redirect to the, let's say, sign up page. But instead of that, it is going to, this is a requirement. So if we click on the login button, page will redirect to the sign up page. But you didn't read that requirement, but you are testing, so you don't have any requirements, or you don't have any idea that if we click on the login button, page will redirect to the sign up page. But when you are testing, you didn't follow that requirement, but you thought that if we clicking on the login button, page will go to the home page. Okay, that means that's your wrong. That means it's your fault, and as per your thought, you created the bug. So that time developer can say that, boss, it's not a bug, this is a requirement. So that time developer will mark this bug as a rejected bug. They will reject that. Okay, so now you are clear that what is rejected. Now, what is not a bug? So not a bug means if the defect doesn't have any impact on the functionality of the application, then the status of the defect will be not a bug, right? So now in the open state, so many things should be happen. One should be there, like not reproducible. Not reproducible means you are testing one applications and you found a bug and you reported that bug, or you logged that bug. So whenever the developer is going to test, when he is fixing that bug, so he is unable to reproduce that bug. So that time developer can mark this bug as a not reproducible. Okay, so many things can be happen in that open state. Now what is the fourth after open? The fourth step will be the fixed stage. So what will be done in the fixed stage? When the developer finishes the task, when the developer has fixed that issue. Okay, so let's say what issue you created, and that issue is a genuine bug. Let's say genuine bug. Then obviously developer will fix that. So after fixation by the developer will change the status as a fixed. That means the issue has been fixed by the developer end. Now next stage will be the pending retest. So what is the pending retest? So after fixing the defect, the developer assigns the defect to the tester to retest, right? Now until the tester works on retesting the defect, the state will be the pending retest. Suppose developer has fixed that issue, fixed that genuine issue. Okay, now developer has assigned that, developer has changed the status as a fixed, and now he assigned that bug to the tester. Okay, now in that meantime, let's say tester is working on another application or another defect. Okay, so that time that fixed issue will be on the pending retest stage. Okay, now next point is that retest. So what do you mean by retest? So the tester, whenever do you mean by retest? So after fixing that defect, what issue or what defect you found, so after fixing that defect by the developer, whenever you are testing the same, obviously you have to test. because a developer has fixed that issue, and developer has assigned to you for the retest. So whenever you are testing the same issue, then we can mark this status as a retest. Okay. Now the next step is that verified. So what do you mean verified? Now, so whenever you are doing retest, if that issue is again fails, let's say you are retesting and the issue is again fail, so then obviously you will directly assign that bug the to the developer, and again the step will be the, let's say the step will be the one step will be there, and that is reopen. Means reopen means whenever you are doing the retesting, so if the same issue is occurring, okay, if the same issue is there, then obviously you have to again reassign that same issue to the developer. Then the step will be the reopen. So if any issue is persist in the defect, then it will be assigned to the developer again for the testing, and the status of the defect will be the reopen. Okay, then again what will happen? Again it will be the reopen. That means it go to the open step. So it will be the reopen, and developer will open that, and he will fix, and it will again go to the pending retest. Again it will go to the retest. Then if it is fail again, then again, that means this cycle will still works. This cycle. So this cycle will still works until the issue is going to fixed, or until the issue is working perfectly fine. Okay, so after retest, if the issue is working perfectly fine, then we have to verify. That means if the tester doesn't find any issues in the defect after being assigned to the developer for retesting, and he feels that if the defect has been fixed accurately or perfectly, then the status of the defects will be we can say the change of the status, we can change the status as a verified. That means we are verifying the defect. The defect is not there. We have retested that, and the defect is not there. That means we are verifying, right? So after verifying, obviously we have to close the defect. So when the defects doesn't exist no longer, then the tester or test engine can change the status to closed. That means we are closing that defect, that the issue is no longer exist. Okay, so this is the whole defect life cycle. First new, then assigned, then open, then fixed, then pending retest, then retest, then verified, then closed. So in that retest field, if the same issue is again not worked, then we have to again, the status will be the reopen. Then again it will be open, then fixed, then pending retest, then retest. If it is passed, then it will be the verified and closed. And whenever the issue is opened, maybe developer will check that issue, and they can change the status as per their own view. It may be duplicate, maybe deferred, maybe rejected, maybe not a bug, or maybe not reproducible. And if it is genuine bug, then obviously developer will fix that bug, and the rest of the process will be going same. Okay, so now you guys are very much clear about that. What is defect, how the test engineers find the defect, and what is the defect life cycle. So it's a very, very, very important interview question, as if you are a fresher, then obviously your interviewer will ask this question surely. Okay, so make sure we are very much clear about that, what is defect life cycle. Okay, so that's all about for defect life cycle. So if you guys have any doubt, please comment me, and if you guys like my video, on thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel EduPaat, and clicking on the bell icon, so that you will get the my videos notifications first. See you in the next videos with some interesting topic. Thank you.